Hmm. Oh. Yes.
With my next few weeks dedicated to Tears of the Kingdom, I wanted to talk a bit about Breath of the Wild and open world games. It's been about a year since the release of Elden Ring and Horizon Forbidden West, and the opinion I have about these and other open world games is a fairly popular stance. I'm not going to beat around the bush. Why are Elden Ring and Breath of the Wild good when Horizon and the Ubisoft Formula are bad? The difference is in the map screen and the objective UI. When you display objectives on the map per the Ubisoft formula, the player will beeline towards them. This is also how we end up trying to go straight over mountains in Skyrim, which honestly is kind of fun. But at least Skyrim's compass markers don't hang around before we find the quest to trigger them. It's not like a constantly present thing telling us what to do next. There's still some exploration going on there. Objective markers on the map create a kind of tunnel vision, and many games have come to lean on this design. The landscape of a lot of these newer games is just so bland that you can't find your way around without having these objective markers to beeline to. You cast your gaze upon the horizon and nothing sticks out. If your quest journal displays that you have 3 out of 5 special pine cones within the dungeon or region that you're currently in, you're training the player to find all the pine cones. When you list out discrete numbers for objectives, you are subtly telling the player that finding all of the thing is a reasonable objective to complete. You're kind of priming them for that, especially if in the earlier part of the game they can find all of a thing within a given area. Then you move into a later part of the game, you might want to make it harder, but they still have that promise that's baked in. If the player makes that their goal and they get exhausted in the course of finding all the collectibles before they get around to completing the main story, then the pace of the game is completely messed up. You don't want the player to be exhausted before they make it to the end. Some games withhold the completion checklist until after you've beaten the main story. You may not get to know your clear percent or be able to see the map with all of the unlockables on it until you've gotten to a sufficient thing. This clarifies that completion is a bonus. It is not an intentional kind of objective that the designers are pushing you to do. When you see the map with all the bits and bobs ready and revealed, it sets up the expectation that doing all of those things is an intended part of the design of the game, that you are intended to be kind of completionist about it, even if it gets tedious. So although you may have freedom in the game, the developer intent seems to be pushing you to do a long series of things, and so the intent becomes the tedium, even though the tedium is technically a choice. It's just presentation. Breath of the Wild doesn't tell you up front how many shrines or Korok seeds there are, or where to find them. You just have to find the towers that reveal segments of the map, and that's what is revealed to you as necessary by virtue of the way the map is presented. When the map presents you with a clouded section, you know that there's a tower there. But everything else you are discovering by scanning the landscape, finding markers. You put a waypoint there that you put down, and then you decide how to navigate to that through pretty flexible motion. So you're gonna glide there, ride a horse, climb 3 mountains. Climbing mountains is just fun. It's just the way that it's just the way gaming works. Climbing mountains is always fun. I don't know why. As long as you have a stamina system or something that makes climbing a mountain even vaguely challenging. That's why that's why it's fun to Skyrim horse your way up a ridiculous mountain. I don't know why. It's just really fun. That's how it works. But having to use your eyes and the context clues of the environment to navigate your way to secrets is what is fun about exploration. And when it is noted on the map, secrets here. There are 3 secrets within the border of this camp, or the enemy stronghold is over here. That gets really tiring. That's the thing that people don't want to have handed to them. You are removing the open world gameplay when you do that. Elden Ring doesn't use objective markers, it uses things that the player is trained to recognize. You become trained to recognize grace. You become trained to understand that when there's kind of an enemy fort looking type of thing, that there's an underground chamber there, and that's the kind of thing you look out for. You become trained to understand that these mage towers have puzzles associated with them, and that's how you get more memory slots. Far from being bland, every section of the map has distinct mountains, bridges, huts, or other features, and that's what primes you to explore and gives your exploration structure. Going from your current location to the next objective marker isn't exploration. It's a waste of the merits of open world traversal.